It's 9 o'clock and it's a Saturday morning. Yes, that could only mean one thing. It's time for the Monster Magic Saturday Show. Let's do this.
Wake up, it's a beautiful morning. Feel the sun shining for your eyes.
Woo-hoo-hoo. Good morning. Oh, it looks like it's going to be a beautiful weekend. I hope you're still tucked up in bed, though. It's far too early for anyone really to be out and about. But it is the ideal time to sit with a cup of tea and maybe some warm buttered toast and enjoy some of the latest magic to hit the Monster Magic shop shelves. And first up, we have Squeeze by James Anthony. This is a quirky little effect. The idea is that you take a playing card that you've done a magic trick with previously and you sort of give it a squeeze and it shrinks to half the width. You then give it another squeeze and it shrinks down to a little dinky miniature sized card, which you can then hand out to be kept as a souvenir. It's a neat little thing, and it is really like a quirky thing to do at the end of a magic trick. I don't think it is really something I would do as a standalone effect, but if I have had a card chosen, it's got to be a particular card chosen because you've got some gimmicks. I would then perhaps just do this at the end to give away a nice little souvenir. Let me show you what you get in the box. You actually get it's quite a nice solid box. You get the instructions. These are your little miniature card giveaways. They're not bicycle backs, but that's fine. Even if you are using a bicycle card for your tricks, they'll be fine. No one's really looking at the back, and also because it's small, they might just think the design has been shrunk so it looks slightly different, but they're a good enough match, to be honest with you. And they are all going to be the Four of Hearts. You also get some Four of Hearts to get you started straight away. You will be burning through the Four of Hearts every time you do this trick, so your best bet is just to get a one-way Four of Hearts deck from your local magic shop. And you also get 3 of the gimmicks, which are also the Four of Hearts. These are specially printed and have a little sort of gimmicked nature to them that I can't really show you because that will give everything away. As I said, for me, this is a trick that I would throw in at the end as a little kicker, having already done a trick with the Four of Hearts, but you can simply just force the Four of Hearts and then just do Squeeze as a standalone if you really want to. But whichever you do, you are going to want to have that Four of Hearts, the genuine Four of Hearts, folded up at some point. So you might want to use it as a simple prediction where you have it folded, or to an impossible location where it ends up folded inside something. It can't be signed because your gimmick isn't going to be signed unless you want to ruin one gimmick and you've only got 3, so I wouldn't really advise doing that. The squeeze itself I was a bit worried about because having seen the gimmicks, sussed out how it sort of worked, I could sort of see what was going on. But having practiced it, it's a bit of more of a knack than a sleight, believe me. You can get it quite smooth, and the bigger the motion does hide the smaller motion. You can sort of make it feel that the card is changing size. Plus, of course, you do get to hand out the little dinky miniature card at the end, which sort of negates any method if your audience feel they've sort of clocked on as to what's happening. So it's a very magical moment when you hand out this little miniature card. Method wise, there's a surprising amount going on, and you do have to dip into your pockets a couple of times under some misdirection. You have to do a little bit of a shuttle pass and a little sort of a switch, which James teaches using the crossing the gaze switch. Well, that's what one Tamara's called it, but it was way before him that it was invented, and that flies by a lot of people. It's a really slick move. So they're not difficult moves at all, but you will need to practice them, and just not worry about going into your pockets. Just keep the focus and the attention elsewhere. The real problem I've got with this is the justification for having to fold up the card. James says, he goes, this is how an ordinary person would fold up a card and he just folds it in front of them very normally and then does squeeze, going, this is how a magician would fold it. I don't really like the idea of mentioning folds because that is genuinely part of the method. So I would rather avoid using that word. I might just say, that's the 4 parts. You can keep this as a souvenir and simply just fold it up as if I'm making it more convenient for them to put in their purse. And then before giving it to them, go, oh, that looks a little bit messy, doesn't it? Let me do it in a magical way and then squeeze it down. I think that might be nicer. And all you really need is a good, strong trick beforehand, using the 4 of hearts. You're also going to make sure that you've got your gimmick orientated correctly. So that's going to take a little bit of practice. James just run through that in very thoroughly. It's a great little tutorial by James, and he gives you all of the little tips as well. There's a nice idea of drawing a little smiley face on the gimmick, to sort of emphasize that it is the same card. You also draw it on the giveaway card. That's quite nice. I don't really think it is that necessary. The 3 gimmicks will last you a decent length of time, and you've got a lot of these mini cards to give away. It's quite a lot of effort. I just can't really see myself carrying it around just for that little quirky giveaway and that funny moment of squeezing it down. But if you do like that visual of the squeeze, then your opinion might well differ to mine. But that is Squeeze by James Anthony. It's $24.99. And now it's time for MindBlox by Craig Petty. Yes, after a couple of weeks absence, Craig is back. He makes tricks better, even needs a seat. I just can't get enough. I just can't get enough. This is MindBlox. It is a deck of cards that you should, in theory, or it's designed to look like the sort of deck of cards that you would find in a Lego store. Now, I haven't actually been to the Lego store, so I'm taking Craig's word on this, but there are such things as competitive Lego competitions. I know, I googled it to check it and find that a little bit sad. For me, Lego was all about having a big box of these blocks and you built whatever you wanted, but no, you can have speed competitions for Lego and so on. And this deck of cards, all beautifully printed. There you go, that's the tropical island. There you go, and that's the back. They're very nice card stock, and you've got zombie acropolis there. So they're very nice cards. They're well printed, and much like his last trick, Evoke, the back of the cards are marked by the card marker genius himself, Phil Smith. You don't know Phil Smith, he did DMC Elites, he did Evoke. He is very, very clever at hiding markings. Let me just show you one of the cards. Let's use the Jumbo Jet here. The Jumbo Jet, so you've got the Jumbo Jet itself, what the card is. You've got a little bit of a paragraph down here. You've got the number of pieces to build it, and you've got a difficulty rating. It's very nice, it's very visual, it's very bright and colourful, but all of this information is also written on the back of this card. You might well be able to see it. They are very, very, when you know the markings are there, they are super, super easy to read, but still well hidden. It's absolute genius. So absolutely everything was on there. So I know it's Jumbo Jet, that's difficult rating of 2, and it was 285 pieces, and so on. And this little paragraph down here at the bottom hides Kamilovich's mother of all book test method down here, so they can think of a word, and I can tell you that that word would be enormous, and that is all thanks to Phil Smith's markings, and it's really, really clever, and they're super easy to read. Now, I now need glasses. I'm getting a bit long in the tooth, and almost from further away it's easier than closer. What I will say is that it's written landscape rather than portrait, so that's the only one real drawback I've sort of found with it, is that if you are showing someone a card, you sort of want to show it like that, and then have to turn it, if that makes sense. But it flies by, and it's not really a very big deal. You also get all of these extra gimmicks. So this is a very nice gimmick. This is one of my favourite bits that Craig's come up with for MindBlox, and it's sort of a baby gag, but with building bricks. So you can say, oh, you were thinking of an ambulance. There you go. That is all of the Lego bricks you need to build an ambulance, which is a very, very good gag. Also, it's got the ambulance on the back. You also get, oh, that's an extra ambulance card. That should probably be in the deck, but I've been playing with it quite a bit. So then you've got a reveal card of an ambulance as well. You've then got an ambulance and an ambulance missing on that card, and you've got a double backer. And these all help with various other routines that are going out there. But the main routine that Craig teaches is a sort of pure mentalism routine. The deck gets split in half, and one person chooses a card from one of the halves. It gets mixed back in, and that gets put back into the box. You then have someone freely choose a card, and you read their minds. You tell them what the card is, and you can also do a little bit of the book test as well, so they can think of a word that's on the card, and you will tell them what that is. And you then come back to the first spectator, and despite the fact that it's been in the box the whole time, there's no way you could possibly know what their card is. You tell them that it is the ambulance. It is a really nice routine. It's full of magic moments. It's quick, it's short, it's punchy, and it feels, although it's not propless, it has got these cards going on, it does feel like a little bit of propless mentalism. And all I would say is I'd encourage you to really sort of look at the pictures of the cards, really get to know the cards, because it's nice if you get them to picture what color blocks they might be picking up. So if you know, for example, that the island's blue, green and yellow, you can say, oh, you got some yellow blocks, and you can really add to the whole sort of mentalism thing and try and get them actively thinking about something rather than the words. Because of the markings being so clear, it is just a quick, simple, easy glance, and that is essential. Never go back for a second glimpse in my book. I also forgot to mention they're also alphabetized, so you could put them in a stack if you want to, so they could choose a card, and so you could then look down at the next card and you would know what card they were looking at. If that's the way you want to do it, that's fine, but you will have to remember all of the Lego sets, and so that's a little bit of effort that isn't really necessary. And the other thing about this deck is that it is long and short. It is a Svengali deck as well, so that is really helpful if you want to do a force with just a simple dribble, or for some very other routines that Craig goes into. Now, I'm not a mentalist, but Craig's main routine is great. It's easy, it's short, it's punchy. In Craig's usual thoroughness, he teaches various different ways of having the cards selected and for getting your peak. It's all just personal preference, and it resets instantly, so you don't have to worry about that either. It is a really nice, clever routine and worth the price of the trick alone. But of course, this is Craig, so the tutorial is 2.5 hours long, and there are 9 other routines, and I'm not a mentalist, so I was quite keen on checking out the other routines. The second routine Craig teaches is a mentalism based routine as well. I'm using the one ahead principle. It's quite short, it's quite punchy, but it's a nice idea, and the routine 3 sort of follows on from that with a sort of confabulation routine where they get to choose what they build, where they build it, and who they build it with. There's a nice little switch in there as well. That's a good little routine, just something a little bit different, and I quite like the idea of a close-up confabulation that utilizes the Svengali principle of the deck as well to use as a force. And routine 4 is pretty much the Svengali pitch. It reminded very much of watching Don Driver pitch Svengalis back in the day. It involves all of the classic phases of the card being selected, it rising to the top, it being on the top of multiple piles and so on. And I know we've all seen the Svengali deck a lot, but don't underestimate it. And, you know, it is, for the layperson, it is absolutely mind-boggling. They see cards multiplying and then going back to normal and jumping around. The Svengali deck is absolutely brilliant, and if you can put a decent routine together, which Craig shows you, is very, very entertaining with lots and lots of moments of magic. I'm a big lover of the Svengali deck, and one thing I would just like to point out is that you can overhand shuffle a Svengali deck. I know most people always say you've got to do it with a riffle shuffle, but you can actually overhand shuffle a Svengali deck quite normally. It's absolutely fine. And the reason for that is because the Svengali works. It just does. Because you're only gripping the ends, you're only gripping the long cards. When it comes to pull them off, you'll always be left with a face card there. So you can overhand shuffle a Svengali. It's not necessary to overhand shuffle Svengali, obviously. The other thing is you can also display the Svengali in a fan. I'm not a massive endorser of this move. I feel it looks very odd for a magician who's been accomplished showing card tricks throughout the evening to suddenly do something slightly cack-handed like that. So you can actually fan Svengali quite simply like so. I think that just looks a little more natural. The secret to that is very easy. I teach it on my Super Svengali tutorial. If you want a sort of more in-depth sort of teaching of it, then just ping me an email, leave something in the comments, and I'll put something together and send it to you. But you just what you need to do is just aerate the deck a little bit like so, clamp down, and all of the force cards will drop out of the bottom. You can then clamp them with your fingers, and then you can spread, and all of the force cards will be to one side. So when you spread, they're all hidden, so they're over here. So you can then fan the deck like so. And obviously if you do that with the backs, you can then have the cards selected from a fan, and you can see that they are all the force cards. If you want any more details on that, then just ping something in the comments and I'll put something together, because I think it adds a lot when you're doing a Svengali deck to be able to sort of show it naturally. Routine 6, Craig calls catch, and it's probably my favourite, mainly because I think it's a pure card trick. It is very, very easy to do. The idea is the deck is split into two piles. You pick a card, your participant picks a card, you then dribble through the piles and you just sort of reach in and pull out one card. Your participant then dribbles down their pile and they reach in and pull out one card, and you've each found each other's cards. It's really, really nice. It's got an element of chaos to it, and especially when they're pulling out their card, they can accidentally flip them face up, they can actually mix them. It looks very, very clean, very fair. I love the sort of built-in messiness of it, and yet you have got the two correct cards at the end. I think it's an absolute corker of a trick, and for me, the highlight of the tutorial. Then you've got routine 7, which is called empowerment, and that's a classic Svengali routine using two piles, and each pile gets eliminated until you're down to just one card, and that happens to be their chosen card. It's fine. It's fine. It's just a standard Svengali routine. And then you have routine 8, which is probably my second favourite routine. It is really, really good. Ryland has a big part to play in this one. Apparently, you write down a prediction, 4 cards are chosen, and they match what you've written down, your prediction. It's really, really nice. It uses the Henry Chris 2003 force from his book Shh, It's a Secret, from the 1930s. It's also an encyclopedia of card tricks, and it is a lovely, lovely trick, and uses one of these extra gaffs in here. It's always been written up as just a force of a single card, and Ryland, despite I think not really liking card tricks, has come up with a way of doing it with more than one card and doing it with 4 cards, which is great if you're at a table and you want to involve more people. And it is a great force. It does look super, super clean. Routine 9 is something from Craig's Invisible project, I think, or his Penguin lecture, where the card is revealed using an invisible deck style deck that you've written on. And although it's a nice routine and it is clever, I'm not really sure it's worth putting together, especially with this, when you've got this deck and you've got so many other possibilities. And the final routine is 2 cards are selected by 2 different spectators, and they are shuffled together face up and face down, and one spectator's card finds the other spectator's card. That's an okay routine, but there are more powerful routines, I think, on this. The teaching is excellent, as you'd expect. I have to say, Craig has just done it again. He's squeezed in a lot of variety. If you are a mentalist, you know, you can even draw these things. You can really let your imagination go wild. Craig does give some tips about how to link some of the tricks that he teaches together. Whether or not, you know, the cards ended up in Svengali or separated, what tricks you can do after that. He really is trying to encourage you to come up with your own routines and piece all of these methods together in your own way. It's a beautiful deck. It looks completely innocent, and yet it is incredibly powerful. That is MindBlox by Craig Petty, $30.99. And now it's time to reveal the winner of the competition to win Finger Off Extreme by Luca Bono, which for me was one of the hits of the Blackpool convention this year. So I have everyone's names once again in my teabag pot. There were a lot of entries. This, you know, I'd like to have a little bit of acknowledgement for the amount of work I've done writing all of those names down. Give them a shake. Here we go. And the winner is, drumroll please, Chris Gillanders. Oh, Chris Gillanders. That's terrific. I'm very pleased for you, Chris. Get in touch, and I will send you Finger Off Extreme straight away. Congratulations, Chris. And next up, we've got Airport by Seth Race. And this is basically magic using your AirPods. I don't have AirPods. I'm not an Apple user, but I do see these around all the time. For me, they are an instantly recognizable object. And the main routine is really, really good fun. You take out your AirPods and you put them in your ears. You then vanish one and show that it is now back inside its case. You then take the other one out of your ear and vanish that and show that they are now both back inside the case. It's a really nice, organic, everyday carry style of trick using objects that everybody has seen before. Let me show you what you get. So you get a gimmick in there, which I shall call that gimmick Michelle. I think that's a nice name for it. And you also get these are dummy AirPods, but the case is all very genuine. It feels the same. The weight is the same as far as I can tell. It's got a nice sturdy click. I mean, this is, I believe, probably what they put in shop windows. You can use your own AirPods if you want, or even borrow some, I guess. But these are, I think these are the first generation rather than the latest generation. I don't know. I'm not up to date on any of that. And most of the tutorial is Garrett Thomas teaching various moves, either with just the pods, various vanishes, retention vanishes, clip steals, thumb clips, lots and lots of traditional coin moves adapted for these. Now there's both an advantage and disadvantage to the shape of these. Obviously with coins, they're always orientated the same way, or it doesn't really matter which way they're orientated because they're flat and symmetrical. With these, they're a funny shape, aren't they? So you how they're orientated in your hand, you'll just have to get used to. And much when I was practicing coin magic, I literally just used to have a $50 or a 50p in my hand the entire time, just getting comfortable with how to move it around. Just need to do the same with these. The advantages are because of their shape. Somehow, often they're easier to grip. Sometimes they're easier to steal, and they don't weigh as much. And then you have the gimmick as well. Now, obviously, that gimmick has to nest in some way. And with a symmetrical coin, that nesting is fine, easy, and virtually automatic. With this, it's not. So you might sometimes find yourself fiddling or sometimes having to be very accurate with how you put them in your hands. Angle-wise, it looks pretty good. Garrett does teach a couple of moves that you know, are more angle sensitive than others. But generally speaking, this will be fun. People in front of you will absolutely love this. And I love, there's a nice little, you know, vanish from the ear, which is super, super clean and very cheeky. The gimmick is actually a left ear gimmick, but I'm not sure that makes any difference to a left-handed or right-handed. Garrett also teaches an advanced handling where the actual case vanishes at the end, leaving you completely empty-handed. That's fine, but you're gonna need a justification for popping to your pocket at some point. And he offers some other routine ideas, but the moves taught should get your brain really flowing. But I think the main routine is the killer one. It's got a great clarity of plot. It looks completely spontaneous. And like I said, these are probably one of the most organic objects you're carrying around today. So it makes a lot of sense to use them. And it's just fun having them vanish from your ears, I think, back into the case. The second half of the tutorial has Seth Race, the creator, talking about some other ideas, one of which uses your own iPods, a second case, probably more effort than you're going to want to go into. And then he offers his handling tips, which are slightly different to Garrett's. And again, it's just personal preference as to which you use. They are versatile, but for me, what this is all about is being caught on the spot and being able to perform some really, really strong magic that looks completely impromptu. It's not hard to do. You will need to practice it. You will need to get used to handling the objects, but otherwise I think it is a corker everyday carry. And that is Airport by Seth Race, $13.99. And next up, we've got Kids Cards by Richard Pinner, the 25th anniversary. Gosh, is it that long since Kids Cards came out? This is a really, really nice gimmicked deck with a fun hook. You show a deck of cards that have been drawn for you by some children, and they're all sort of crayons and felt tip drawings. You then have a card selected, and you then change that card into a properly printed face. You then point out that all of the other cards are still kids cards, so you then give them a little magical pass and they all turn into printed cards, both front and back. You then go, well, I may as well do a card trick. So you have a card selected and you then divine that card, and you then bring all of the cards back to being kids cards. It's a beautiful, complete routine. The cards are very nice. You get some written instructions as well. You get a short tutorial from Richard. It is very short. It's only a few minutes long, but that is really all you need. And these are the cards. They're nice. They're nicely drawn. They're colourful. And the hook is absolutely great. You also get a blank pair if you want to personalize it in some way. And the deck does everything for you. So it can't be handed out. It's not examinable. But it is such a fun and entertaining routine. This isn't about passing yourself off as some clever card sharp. This is just about being an entertainer. Put a nice hook on it about who drew the cards, turn it into a good personality piece. It's like the mental photography deck, but for me, it's more colourful and it's got a better story options. What is nice is that after the deck changes into a regular deck, you get to do a really strong piece of card magic before turning it all back into kids cards. I really, really like it. It is a gaff deck. It is an extra deck to carry around, but I think it is worth it. It is a great little personality piece. That is Kids Cards by Richard Pinner, $24.99.
I think I ought to see a doctor. Oh, why do you say that? I'm beginning to like the show.
Oh, and I'm afraid that is the end of the show for another week. I hope you've enjoyed it. I can see the sun is coming out outside. So I think it is time to get dressed, grab some magic, and to go out and have a lot of fun with the best hobby in the world. Bye-bye.